And if beauty is terror, said Julian, then what is desire? We think we have many desires, but in fact we have only one. What is it?
Hi everyone, I'm Skye, and today I'll be discussing the integumentary system, the body system that includes your skin, hair, nails, and glands all working together to protect your body, keep it healthy, and yes, even contribute to how we look. As you can see, I'm about to rewatch my favorite movie, but before I do, I challenge myself to finish this first. If you're like me and you've been wanting to watch a movie or do something fun, but also have to study, try finishing your work first and treat yourself afterward. A little balance makes your break feel so much more rewarding. So, if you want to enjoy our movie night or whatever little treat we have planned, we'd better finish this first. So, let's get started. Okay, when most people think about the skin, they usually think it's just something that covers the body. But the skin actually does much more than that. It protects us from injury and germs, helps regulate our body temperature, allows us to feel touch, and even helps produce vitamin D. We'll also look at its different layers, the structures attached to it, like hairs and nails, how wounds heal, and why burns and skin disease happens. So let's start by understanding what the integumentary is. The integumentary system is the body's outer covering. It's made up of the skin, along with its accessory structures, including hair, nails, sweat glands, and sebaceous or oil glands. Together, these structures work as one system to protect your body and help maintain homeostasis, which simply means keeping your body's internal environment stable. Think of it as your body's protective shield. It stands between your body and the outside world while helping everything inside function normally. Now that we know what makes up the integumentary system, let's take a closer look at its most important part, the skin. The skin has many important jobs. First, it acts as a protective barrier, helping keep germs, harmful substances, and injuries from reaching the tissue inside your body. It also helps prevent too much water from leaving the body, which keeps you from becoming dehydrated. Your skin helps regulate body temperature by releasing sweat and adjusting blood flow near the surface. It also contains sensory receptors, allowing you to feel touch, pressure, pain, and temperature. Another important role is supporting your immune system by helping defense against harmful microorganisms. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, it also helps produce vitamin D, which is essential for healthy bones and teeth. Finally, sweat glands remove small amounts of waste, such as salts and other substances, through perspiration. As you can see, the skin does much more than simply cover the body. To understand how it performs all these functions, let's explore its different layers. To understand how the skin works, let's first look at its three main layers. The epidermis is the outermost layer. It's the part that you can see and touch, and it serves as the body's first line of defense. Beneath it is the dermis, which is much thicker. This layer contains structures like blood vessels, nerves, hair follicles, and glands that help keep the skin healthy and functional. The deepest layer is the hypodermis, also called the subcutaneous layer. It's made mostly of fat tissue, which helps cushion the body, store energy, and reduce heat loss. Although it's closely attached to the skin, some textbooks don't consider it a three-layer skin. Now that we've identified the three layers, let's start with the outer one, the epidermis. The epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin. Even though it's thin, it plays a big role in protecting your body. It's made of a tissue called stratified squamous epithelium, which consists of many layers of flattened cells. This layer structure makes the skin stronger and better able to resist everyday wear and tear. One unique feature of the epidermis is that it's vascular, meaning it doesn't contain any blood vessels. Instead, it gets the nutrients and oxygen it needs from the layer underneath, called the dermis. The epidermis is also thickest on the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. because these areas experience the most friction from everyday activities like walking and gripping objects. It contains three important types of cell: keratinocytes, which produce keratin for protection; melanocytes, which produce melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color; dendritic cells, which help defend the body against harmful microorganisms. Next, let's take a closer look at how the epidermis is organized into five distinct layers. The epidermis is divided into five layers, arranged from the surface down to the deepest part. The stratum corneum is the outermost layer. It's made of dead, keratin-filled cells that form a tough protective barrier. Just beneath it is the stratum lucidum. This thin, clear layer is found only in thick skin, such as the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. Next is the stratum granulosum, where skin begins producing more keratin and become more water resistant. Below that is the stratum spinosum, which gives the skin added strength and flexibility. Finally, the deepest layer is the stratum basale. This is where the new skin cells are continuously produced, replacing the old cells that are naturally shed from the surface. It also contains melanocytes, the cells responsible for producing melanin. As these new cells are formed, they slowly move upward, becoming flatter and more protective until they eventually reach the surface and are shred. This continuous process helps keep your skin healthy and renewed. Now, let's take a closer look at the four main types of cells found in the epidermis. The most common are keratinocytes. These cells produce keratin, a tough protein that makes your skin stronger and helps protect it from injury, germs, and water loss. Next are melanocytes, which produce melanin. Melanin is the pigment that gives your skin, hair, and eyes their color. It also helps protect skin from damage caused by ultraviolet or UV rays from the sun. But here's a fun fact that a lot of people get wrong. Most people think that if someone has fair skin, they automatically are likely to get cancer. But that's not always true. First, almost everyone has about the same number of melanocytes. The difference is how much melanin those cells produce and what type of melanin is more common. There are two main types of melanin. Eumelanin is a brown-black pigment that provides better protection from UV rays, while pheomelanin is the red-yellow pigment that provides less protection. For example, many people of Northern European ancestry tend to produce less melanin overall and have a lighter proportion of pheomelanin, especially those with natural red or blonde hair, because pheomelanin doesn't protect the skin as well from UV rays. They usually burn more easily in the sun, which can increase their risk of skin cancer. Now, many East Asians can also have fair looking skin, but they often have a higher proportion of eumelanin, which provides better natural protection from UV rays. They also tend to tan more easily instead of burning. So, having fair skin doesn't automatically mean you have the same level of UV protection. Think of it like two umbrellas. They might look almost the same from a distance, but one blocks 90% of the sunlight while the other blocks only 60%. They both protect you, but one does a much better job. Melanin works the same way. It's not just about how light or dark your skin looks. It's also about the type and amount of your melanin your skin has. And of course, anyone can develop skin cancer, regardless of their skin color. Melanin helps protect the skin, but it doesn't make anyone completely immune. Going back to our cell types, the next one is the dendritic cells. These are the part of your immune system and help recognize and defend against harmful microorganisms that contact with your skin. Finally, there are Merkel cells, which work with nearby nerve endings to help you detect light touch. For example, they help you feel something as small as a strand of your hair brushing against your skin. Each of these cells have a different job, but together they help your skin healthy, protected, and responsive to your surroundings. Skin color isn't determined by just one factor. Instead, it's influenced by genetics, pigments, blood flow, and even your environment. The biggest factor is melanin, which is produced by melanocytes. People naturally produce different amounts and types of melanin, giving us our unique skin tones. Genetics determine how much melanin your body normally produces. Changes in blood flow can also affect skin color. When blood vessels widen, the skin may appear red. When they narrow, the skin can look pale. Another pigment is called keratin, which comes from food like carrots and sweet potatoes can build up in the skin and give it a slightly yellow-orange tint. A buildup of bilirubin can cause the skin and the whites of the eye to turn yellow, a condition called as jaundice. This may happen when the liver isn't processing bilirubin properly. Finally, sunlight stimulates melanocytes to produce more melanin. That's why spending time in the sun can cause your skin to tan. Now that we've finished the outer layer of the skin, let's move deeper into the dermis, where many important structures are found. Beneath the epidermis is the dermis, the thicker layer that provides strength and support the skin. Unlike epidermis, the dermis contains blood vessels, which deliver oxygen and nutrients to both the dermis and the vascular epidermis above it. It also contains nerve endings, allowing you to feel sensations such as touch, pressure, pain, and temperature. Many of the skin accessory structures are found here as well, including hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and sweat glands. The epidermis has two parts. The papillary layer is the thin upper portion that connects with the epidermis, while the reticular layer is the thicker, deeper portion that gives the skin its strength and flexibility. As we'll see next, the structures inside the dermis, like hair, glands, and nails, each have important functions that help protect and maintain the body. Beneath the dermis is the hypodermis, also called subcutaneous layer. Although it's attached to the skin, some textbooks don't consider it as an actual layer of the skin because it lies underneath. The hypodermis is made mostly of loose connective tissue and adipose tissue, or body fat. This fat acts like a cushion, helping protect the muscles and organs underneath from injury. It also stores energy and helps keep the body warm by reducing heat loss. The hypodermis also contains larger blood vessels, making it a common site of subcutaneous injections such as insulin. Now that we've covered the three main layers of the skin, let's explore the structures that grow from it, starting with the hair. Hair covers most of the body, but there are a few places where it normally doesn't grow, including the palms, the soles, the lips, and the nipples. Even though many body hairs are small and difficult to notice, they still serve important functions. Hair helps protect certain parts of the body. For example, your eyelashes helps keep dust and other particles out of your eyes. It also contributes to your sense of touch. If you've ever felt a tiny insect crawling on your arm before you actually saw it, your hair likely detected that movement first. Hair can also help regulate body temperature by providing a small layer of insulation that reduces heat loss. To better understand how hair grows, let's look inside the skin at the structure called the hair follicle. Each hair grows from a structure called a hair follicle, which extends from the epidermis down to the dermis. Hair has three main parts. The shaft is the part you can see above the skin. The root lies below the surface, inside the hair follicle. The very bottom is the hair papilla, which contains tiny blood vessels that supplies nutrients for hair growth. Attached to the follicle is a small smooth muscle called the erector pili muscle. When this muscle contracts, it pulls the hair upright, causing goosebumps. This commonly happens when you're cold or experiencing strong emotions like fear. Next, let's look at another protective structure of the integumentary system, our nails. Nails are another accessory structure of the skin. Their main job is to protect the tips of your fingers and toes. They also make it easier to perform everyday tasks such as picking up small objects, scratching an itch, or gripping items securely. The hard, visible part is called the nail plate. Underneath it is the nail bed, which supports the nail as it grows. Near the base is the pale, half moon shaped area called the lunula. This is the part of the nail's growing region. Although nails may seem simple, they help protect our fingertips and improve the precision of our hand movements. Next, we'll look at the glands in the skin that keep it healthy and regulate body temperature. Sebaceous glands, also called oil glands, are usually attached to the hair follicles. These glands produce sebum, an oily substance that keeps the skin and hair soft and prevents them from drying out. Sebum also forms a thin protective layer that makes the skin more water resistant. Sebaceous glands are classified as holocrine glands, which means the entire cell breaks apart to release its secretion. Interestingly, these glands are not found in the palms of the hands or soles of the feet. That's one reason why those areas tend to feel drier than the rest of the body. Now, let's look at another important type of gland, one that helps keep your body cool. Sweat glands, also called sudoriferous glands, are found throughout the body and play an important role in maintaining homeostasis. There are four main types. The most common are eccrine glands. They produce watery sweat that evaporates from the skin, helping cool the body during exercise or in hot weather. Apocrine glands become active around puberty. They're mainly found in the armpits and groin and produce a thicker type of sweat. This sweat is mostly odorless at first, but bacteria on the skin can break it down and produce body odor. Ceruminous glands are found in the ear canal and produce earwax, which helps trap dust and protect the ear. Finally, mammary glands are modified sweat glands that produce milk after childbirth. Among these, the eccrine glands play the biggest role in controlling body temperature, which we'll discuss next. One of the skin's most important job is helping regulate body temperature. When your body becomes too warm, the blood vessels near the surface of the skin dilate or widen. This allows more warm blood to reach the skin, making it easier for heat to escape. At the same time, the sweat glands produce more sweat. As the sweat evaporates, it removes heat from the body and helps cool you down. Think about what happens after running or exercising. You start sweating because your body is trying to return to its normal temperature. When your body becomes too cold, the opposite happens. The blood vessels constrict or narrow, reducing heat loss through the skin. Sweat production decreases and your muscle may begin to shiver. Those rapid muscle contractions generate heat to warm your body. These responses happen automatically to keep your internal temperature within a healthy range. But how does the body know when to start sweating or shivering? The answer lies in a process called negative feedback, which we'll look at next. The body's temperature is controlled through a process called negative feedback. Negative feedback simply means the body responds by reversing a change to bring conditions back to normal. This helps maintain homeostasis or a stable internal environment. For example, if your body temperature rises, your brain signals the sweat glands to produce sweats and tells blood vessels in the skin to widen. These responses help cool the body. If your body temperature drops, the brain sends different signals. Blood vessels narrow to reduce heat loss, and your muscles begin to shiver, producing more heat. So, whenever the body detects that something has moved away from its normal level, negative feedback works to bring it back to balance. Unlike negative feedback, positive feedback makes a change even stronger instead of reversing. This process continues until a specific event has been completed. One example is blood clotting. When a blood vessel is injured, platelets gather at the site and release chemicals to attract even more platelets. This continues until the wound is healed. Another example is childbirth. As labor begins, the hormone oxytocin causes contractions. Those contractions trigger the release of even more oxytocin, making the contractions stronger until the baby is delivered. So, a simple way to remember the difference is this: negative feedback brings the body back to normal, while positive feedback pushes the process forward until it's finished. Your body is constantly producing and losing heat to maintain a normal temperature. Most of the body's heat comes from the cellular metabolism, which is the process of breaking down nutrients to produce energy. Your skeletal muscles also generate heat, especially during exercise or when you shiver. The heart produces heat because it contracts continuously throughout your life. And the liver contributes as well because it's one of the most metabolically active organs in the body. At the same time, your body loses heat in four main ways. Radiation is the transfer of heat from your body into the surrounding air. Conduction happens when heat moves through direct contact, like sitting on a cold bench. Convection occurs when moving air or water carries heat away from your body, such as when a fan cools your skin. Finally, evaporation happens when sweat changes into water vapor, carrying heat away and cooling the body. Together, heat production and heat loss help keep your body temperature within a healthy range. Normally, an adult's body temperature stays between 36.5 and 37.5 degrees Celsius. When body temperature rises above the normal range, it's called hyperthermia. This can happen if the body produces too much heat or can't lose heat faster enough. A person may have hot, flushed skin, heavy sweating, a rapid pulse, and dizziness. On the other hand, hypothermia happens when body temperature drops too low, usually after prolonged exposure to cold. Common signs include shivering, pale skin, confusion, and a slow pulse. Both conditions can be dangerous because many chemical reactions in the body work best within a narrow temperature range. Now that we've seen how the body maintains its temperature, let's look at what happens when the skin is injured. When the skin is injured, the body immediately begins the healing process. The first stage is inflammation. Blood vessels widen, allowing more blood, oxygen, and white blood cells to reach the injured area. This is why a fresh wound often becomes red, warm, swollen, and painful. Next, platelets gather at the injury and form a clot to stop the bleeding. They also help create a mesh made of fibrin, which protects the wound while it heals. As the wound becomes protected, white blood cells remove bacteria and damaged tissue to help prevent infection. Finally, fibroblasts produce collagen to rebuild the damaged connective tissue, while new epithelial cells grow over the surface to close the wound. Although these steps happen automatically, they work together to restore the skin as quickly as possible. Burns are classified according to how deeply the skin is damaged. A first degree burn affects only the epidermis, the outer layer of the skin. There becomes red and painful, but usually doesn't blister. A mild sunburn is a common example. A second degree burn extends into parts of the dermis. These burns are often red, swollen, painful, and blistered because damage reaches deeper tissues. A third degree burn is the most severe. It destroys the epidermis, the dermis, and sometimes even deeper tissues beneath the skin. The burn area may appear white, blackened, or charred. Surprisingly, these burns are often not painful at first because the nerve endings have been damaged. The deeper the burn, the more difficult it is for the skin to heal. When a person has extensive burns, healthcare professionals need a quick way to estimate how much of the body has been affected. One commonly used method is the rule of nines. It divides the outer body into regions, with each region representing a percentage of the total body surface area. For example, the head and neck account for 9%, each arm is 9%, each leg is 18%, the front and back of the trunk are each 18%, and the perineum is 1%. This estimate helps determine the severity of the burn and guides important treatment, such as fluid replacement. Remember, the rule of nines is an estimate, but it's a fast and practical tool used in emergency care. Sunlight doesn't just tan the skin, it can also damage the DNA inside the skin cells. One common type of damage is called a thymine dimer. This happens when ultraviolet or UV light causes two neighboring thymine bases in DNA to become abnormally joined together. Think of DNA as a zipper. If two teeth of the zipper becomes stuck together, it can no longer open and close smoothly. In the same way, a thymine dimer can interfere with normal DNA replication and gene expression. Fortunately, our cells have a repair system called nucleotide excision repair, or NER. This system removes the damaged section of DNA and replaces it with the correct sequence. However, if the damage isn't repaired, mutation can accumulate over time and increase the risk of skin cancer. As we grow older, the skin gradually changes. The epidermis becomes thinner, making the skin more fragile and easier to injure. The dermis also loses collagen and elastic fibers, so the skin becomes less firm and wrinkles become more noticeable. Sebaceous glands become less active, which can make the skin and hair feel drier. Hair follicles also change over time, causing hair to become thinner and eventually turn gray or white as melanin production decreases. Nails usually grow more slowly, and wounds may take longer to heal. The skin also becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D, which is one reason older adults may be at a higher risk of vitamin D deficiency. The skin can also be affected by different diseases and infections. Impetigo is a contagious bacterial infection that causes red sores with a characteristic honey-colored crust. It's most common in children. Cutaneous mycosis refers to fungal infections that affect the skin, hair, or nails. Athlete's foot is one common example. If an infection spreads deeper in the body, it can reach the bone and cause osteomyelitis, a serious condition that requires prompt treatment. Another important condition is staphylococcal scalded skin syndrome, or SSSS. In this disease, toxins produced by certain strains of Staphylococcus aureus cause the outer layer of the skin to blister and peel. Although these conditions have different causes, they all remind us how important healthy skin is as the body's first line of defense. Before we end, let's quickly review what we've learned. The integumentary system is made up of the skin, along with the hair, nails, sweat glands, and sebaceous glands. Together, they protect the body and help maintain homeostasis. We learned that the skin has three main layers: the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis, and that each layer has its own important structures and functions. We also explored how the skin helps regulate body temperature, produces vitamin D, allows us to sense our surroundings, and serves as the body's first line of defense against injury and infection. Finally, we look at how wounds heal, how burns are classified, and how the body's repair damage caused by ultraviolet light. Understanding the integumentary system helps us appreciate that the skin is much more than just a covering. It's a dynamic organ that plays a vital role in keeping the entire body healthy and functioning properly. And that's it. Thank you so much for spending your time learning with me. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notification bell so you won't miss future medical and science videos. Until next time, study smart, and I'll see you in the next video.